is Emily Iannielli, and I'm a male to female transgender girl. And I'm going to talk somewhat about how I am feeling, what it's like to transition, uh, what it was like when I was in the hospital, uh, what it's like to have a son as I'm transitioning, and how I am doing emotionally and physically. The first thing is that for me, transitioning is very satisfying for me personally, because I'm now living full time as a transgender woman. It's been almost 3 years now. The only thing which is a little ironic is that I'm not out of the house all the time because I'm not working. So I'm at home a lot, trying to, kind of regroup, since I've gone through a lot of stress and inner turmoil associated with my transgender struggles, and just in general life. There's a lot of stress in life and working, and to be honest with you, I really don't miss the working scene, though I would like to do things on my own, be able to make a living on my own without having to work under someone else's direction. And I think that if I find the right avenue to take, I possibly can do that. I certainly am creative, and I'm very happy now as a transgender woman, and my confidence is starting to move in the right direction. I must admit that when I lost my job a couple of years ago, it really took a toll on my psyche and my self-esteem, and my confidence really suffered as a result. But I've managed to still forge ahead with my transition from male to female, and I'm very happy about that. I think that transitioning for me is a godsend. It's something that I had hoped to achieve in my life at some point. Obviously, I wanted to transition at a much younger age, but it just wasn't possible early on in my life, and it's okay for me because I'm very happy now. I'm married with a beautiful wife, and I have a son who I adore, and he's 16 now. He's growing up. He's a young man now, not a baby. And I worked hard, and I did all the right things as a husband and a father and a working career man would do in his life. But I knew in my heart that I really wasn't a male. I always identified as female from a very young age. I was 3 when I started to wear a dress. I took one of my sister's dresses and I adopted it as my own. And I remember I used to hide under the covers wearing that dress and wishing I would wake up a girl in the morning. So it was very difficult for me when I realized that I was going to have to go through male puberty while all the girls I knew in school were blossoming as young women. I was very depressed and sad because I wanted to experience that as well. But I remember longing from a very young age that I was wanting to live and be a girl, and that stayed with me all throughout my life. I cross-dressed quite a lot in my life, and it was very satisfying and very necessary for me, and it helped me cope with my gender dysphoria. I try to look at things in a different perspective and appreciate my life for what it is, and realize that although I'm transitioning, I'm still the same person in my heart. It's just that I'm trying to match my external appearance to be more in line with my inner feelings. So I'm trying to feminize my whole body from the inside and outside to be in line with how I feel. And I definitely identify as a female. So that's why I'm transitioning from male to female. Transitioning is not an easy process. It takes a lot of planning, a lot of money, a lot of counseling, support. You need a good support system, and you need to ride out the good and the bad, and just hope that you are successful as you transition. But you have to also remember that it doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process, and it will unfold over time. And after a while, you will definitely see results. Certainly, I've seen a lot of positive results. My face is so much more softer, much more feminine. My hair is growing out, and it's longer. I'm starting to develop up here. I have breasts. My skin is much clearer. Plus, I do have some hair growth on my legs and arms, but not like I used to. I still have to shave that. And I don't really notice the body fat redistributing yet, but I'm hoping that it will help me over time, where I start to develop more of a female figure. But I can't see that happening because I've been on estradiol, which is estrogen, and testosterone blocker spironolactone for about 2.5 years, and I still haven't seen any redistribution of body fat. It's possible that there is some redistribution, but if there is, it's very hard for me to tell. So that's really because a lot of transgender girls claim that their whole proportion of body fat has changed. But for me, I haven't noticed that. But I do notice that my muscle tone has changed. I lost more muscle mass, which I'm happy about. And I am very fortunate that I'm petite and I don't have a prominent Adam's apple. and that I can blend in as a female, transgender woman, however you want to say it. But I'm very happy I made the choice to transition. In the early stages, I was grappling with that and not sure if I was going to have the tenacity and the courage to do so. Plus, I was concerned for my family, especially my son, and I didn't want to hurt him or affect him in a way that would be dramatic and traumatic. So I had to really weigh the pros and cons of transitioning, and I had to also look at it from my own personal perspective. And I asked myself, do I really have to transition? And if I don't, will that be okay with me? And I spoke to my therapist about that also. And I realized that if I don't transition, I would probably want to die. I was miserable, and I suffered for a long time in my life, and I was never really comfortable with my body. So I knew in my heart that I had no choice but to transition. It was really that or die. And I felt I don't want to die because I have a son who needs me in his life. So I sat down with my family and I told my wife, and she wasn't happy about it. And I told my son, and he was very confused. And, I told my son, no matter what, I will still be here, and I'll be still your father, no matter what. I'm just trying to find my own happiness. And for me, being happy means being a female, transgender woman, and wearing the clothes that I feel more comfortable in, which are dresses and other feminine clothing. I've always wanted to wear a dress, and I cross-dress quite a lot in my life. That was a big part of my dealing with my transgender struggle. So I knew that it was very important that I take my transition seriously and that I address all my concerns and reservations about it. And when I looked at the pros and the cons, certainly I was more leaning towards going for the transition because I knew that my very life depended on it. And if I didn't transition, I would be miserable. And I felt I would not be a good role model or a good father to my son if I was miserable. So I realized that for me to find my way and to be there for my son in the best way possible, transition was my only route. And I'm very happy. I'm almost 3 years into my transition from male to female, and there have been some bumps in the road, and there are some roadblocks right now actually. I want to do SRS, but my therapist and psychiatrist won't write me an approval letter right now because they feel that I've been in the hospital too many times for depression and suicide ideation. So I have to kind of stay out of the hospital and keep my emotions in check and not cry suicide whenever I get down and struggling. So I have to be strong in my mind and heart, and I need to be patient because I have plenty of road ahead of me in my transition, and it's not an easy transition. I've done pretty much what a male to female transgender individual does. I've done therapy, counseling, which I'm doing on an ongoing basis. I see my therapist weekly. I'm doing hormone replacement therapy. I take estradiol, 2 milligrams 3 times a day, and spironolactone, 100 milligrams twice a day. And I'm doing electrolysis when I can. And I've noticed a big difference in the hair growth on my face. It's virtually nil, which I'm very happy about. And the combination of the hormones and the electrolysis really makes a big difference in how my skin looks and feels. It very much is feminine now, and I'm very delighted and overjoyed. And I also was taking voice lessons to try to feminize my voice, but I have some financial problems, so I had to stop going. And now I'm trying to learn on the internet. There are plenty of YouTube videos out there with transgender girls teaching how they learn to speak in a feminine way. So I'm going to avail myself of those videos. I find that YouTube is a good resource for transitioning, and it gives you a lot of encouragement and inspiration. And I find that I've become much more emotional and more into my feelings, and I'm more into relationships in a way of nurturing. So I definitely have a lot of feminine traits, which I always have had. So that really hasn't changed. And I am very happy transitioning. I'm a little thirsty, so please excuse me. I'm just going to reach to get my... I should be drinking water, but I felt like a sugar rush. So I'm drinking my favorite. This is a plug for Pepsi Cola. I love Pepsi. And I love Coke also. Depends on the mood I'm in, I guess. That's good. So anyway, transitioning is not easy. You have to have your heart and soul in it. And you're going to have good days and bad days. I've never really had mood fluctuations being on the hormones. I've heard other transgender girls that have mood fluctuations, but I haven't noticed that. So I'm pretty consistent with that. But I do notice that being on the hormones gives me a sense of calmness. I don't have that aggression that I used to have when I was, I guess, when testosterone was raging through my bloodstream. now that the spironolactone is blocking the testosterone, I hope, I don't have that aggression. Not that I was very aggressive to begin with, but there is a difference, and I'm more calm, which is a good thing, and I don't have a temper like I used to. That's also a good thing. I still get frustrated though, and I also cry a lot more. The hormones definitely make you more emotional, and there's a lot of positive to being on female hormones and doing the HRT. I have a good doctor I see at Cal Illinois, and you have to make sure you're doing your blood tests and that you take your pills regularly and that you try not to miss any. Obviously, you may run out on a prescription and you will miss a day or two, but just make sure you're on top of your prescription filling and that you don't miss too many days. You have to stay consistent with your dosing, and you need to be very strict, and you have to have a good attitude when you're transitioning. It takes a lot of courage to make a decision like that, and I think when you commit yourself to doing hormone replacement therapy, that will cross you into more of a transsexual than just a transgender, because you're actually doing something to physically alter your body, and that's pretty much the difference between a transgender individual and a transsexual individual. However, there are transgender individuals that do HRT, and I still categorize myself as transgender, but I'm also categorizing myself as transsexual too. But I'm a pre-op transsexual. To be a true transsexual, I believe that you would also have SRS, which is sex reassignment surgery. So you will have a vagina created from the penile skin, and that is pretty common surgery for male to female transgender or transsexual patients, and it is something that many transgender women look forward to having, but not every transgender woman is able to or wishes to have it. I don't know the percentages of transgender women who do surgery as opposed to transgender women who don't, but I would say that due to the relatively high costs, there are many transgender women who don't do surgery because they can't afford it. So the reality is, as much as you want to do the surgery, it just may not be possible because you don't have the funds available, or you don't have the insurance to cover it, or whatever. But it shouldn't deter you from transitioning. If you're on track to transition from male to female, you should stay on track and do everything in your power that you can and never give up. You have to stay true to your game plan, and you have to be very attentive and very confident that it will go well for you, and you need to be able to feel comfortable in your own skin. Once I started transitioning, I was getting more confident going out dressed fully as a woman and presenting that way. And now I have no problems going out. I live 24/7 as a woman. I'm just not working, so that sucks, because that would really help me if I was in a working situation and living full-time as a woman. But I wish to kind of be more resourceful and independent, so I have to give some thought to what I want to do. I wish I could do some modeling. I love photography. I love to write. I love social media. I love making videos. So maybe I can hone in on some skills. I also have an accounting degree and an engineering degree. So I have accounting, business, and engineering technical background. I'm very creative. I like testing my boundaries, and I like to do new things. I got addicted to Pinterest, which is fun. I love making YouTube videos. I love taking pictures as I've transitioned from male to female. I love picture taking. I love clothes and fashion. I dress pretty much every day in women's dresses, and I'm very happy about that. It makes me feel good, and I will always wear a dress every day, and I just am so delighted, and I'm living my life the way I need to, and I don't want to overstep any boundaries, and I'm dressing how I feel comfortable, and I'm very appropriate in how I dress. I may wear on occasion a dress that's a little shorter, but for me, I dress the way I want to. And nobody tells me how to dress. I've lived in the closet for 50 years. I'm not going back into the closet. So I'm going through a second phase of puberty, and I'm enjoying every moment of it. And I'm going to wear whatever dresses I like.